If you want trail camera pictures that look like this, loaded with bucks, we're going to walk you through exactly how we use our trail cameras to get pictures of all of our bucks. We'll take you through some of the common mistakes that people make with trail cameras because we've made them, so you can learn from us. You don't have to make those same mistakes. The number one problem people have is either they're getting pictures of all does or they're not getting any pictures at all. So first, let's go through some of the common mistakes that people make. One, they're setting up their cameras well back into the woods trying to find trails or rubs or whatever they're trying to find, and they're setting cameras up on those, and those are just sparsely used trails or doe trails, and so the pictures that they get are either few or mostly does. And so you don't really get a good idea of what's going on. The second mistake that they make is similar to the reason that they're setting those back into the woods. Now all of a sudden they've got to go back into their woods a ways, and every time they're going in there, you're putting pressure on your deer, you're bumping deer. Early on in the season when you're trying to get an inventory of deer, these deer are not bedded very far back there. It's very thick. They feel very secure. So they're not bedded very far off of food sources. So you trying to get back into the woods is the biggest mistake that you can make. Another really common mistake that people will make is setting their trail cameras down too low. A lot of times what we've found is that you want to try to get that trail camera up around chest height. You can see one behind us here. There's a trail that comes out right here. But by getting that camera up a little bit, those deer can't get their nose on it as easily, and the bucks especially don't seem to be spooked as easily by these trail cameras when they're set up a little bit up off the ground. Whereas if you get it down around waist level, those deer can put their nose on it, it throws them off, and sometimes you get one picture and then all of a sudden the deer's gone. So now that we've covered some of the common mistakes, let's go into how we set up our trail cameras to get the maximum number of buck pictures. Now, I'll be honest with you, that picture that we showed you is not a very common picture. You know, we just happen to have all the bucks in one area at one time. You know, it doesn't happen that often. However, we do consistently get pictures of our bucks using this method. It's actually quite simple. If you take that second mistake that people make around trying to get back into the woods and putting pressure on the deer, we were doing that for a really long time and struggling with a lot of the same things until finally we decided to just take our cameras out and set them up on the edges of fields. What I've got is a bean field right here, and it's on a corner, so you basically have a path that the deer walk through because the farmers very rarely plow all the way up to the edges, and so there's a natural path with the woods all the way around, and this corner is perfect for getting pictures of deer as they come out into these beans and to be able to get them as they come through this corner right here. So the simple fact of just setting your camera up on a major food source like a bean field, or even if it's corn, you know, we get deer walking down this trail all the time because they don't want to go out in the corn right away. They'll just walk through this path, and so it just creates a natural highway for these deer to come through, and we get all kinds of great pictures of our bucks because of that. You have to remember that deer are edge creatures, so anytime that you're setting up cameras, you need to be trying to look for an edge of some sort to be able to set it up on, even if you don't have a big ag field. So we love gas well lines, logging roads, you know, obviously field edges, all those types of things are prime areas to get your cameras set up. And we'll just go ahead and set cameras up all along this edge if we've got multiple, just to try to see exactly where these deer are. Because if they're walking down this edge, you get a picture of a buck down there, and then you get a picture of a buck right here, and then you get a picture of a buck right here. You know that that deer is walking from his bed down through this area if you're getting that picture in the early evening or early afternoon. So you can get a lot of really great intel on where the deer are bedding, even when you're setting these cameras up on the edges of fields. So what if you don't know where to set it up on this field? So I'll go through some of the things that we look for. One, if you've got corners, set it up on a corner. That's a great place to start. You know, leave it out there for a week, see what you're getting. If you're not getting any pictures, move it. The other thing to do is just walk. If you've got bean fields, just walk along the edge and look for where the beans are very heavily grazed right on the edge. A lot of times you'll find a trail coming out of the woods right nearby there. They're hitting that bean field right as they come out of the woods. That's a place where you need to set your trail cameras. Outside of that, you know, just try to look for some of these areas. If you can get into a little transition zone, we've got this one spot over here where it's a cut through, but there's bean fields on either side, and then there's an oak tree that drops acorns right in the middle of it. It's a dynamite spot for us to get pictures, and it's super easy for us to get to. The best part about this method is it puts very little pressure on deer. Most of the time we drive our vehicles right up to the trail camera because this is a farming area. The deer are pressured less by the fact that you're driving a vehicle up there because they see vehicles and farming equipment, four-wheelers, those types of things all the time. That doesn't put any pressure on them at all. We'll drive up, check the trail camera, drive away, and that's the easiest way you could ever imagine getting your trail cameras picked. Anytime you got to tromp through the woods, you risk bumping deer out of the woods, it's unnatural. Those are all things that, sure, we will do it. As we get closer to the season, we'll transition some of our cameras, especially on bean fields, into, you know, more cornfield edges, or we'll find scrapes and we'll start transitioning to scrapes and acorns and those types of things. But early season is the time to get your inventory, and those are the times to get those things out on the edges of fields, and you'll get all kinds of pictures of deer that you never got before. Hopefully following this video gives you a lot more pictures of deer. If you got questions, leave them below. We're happy to help. Hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, hit the bell to be notified of new videos, and make sure that you click right here to watch more of our videos. Thanks for watching.